Night, August the 21st. We're happy to have you in for another episode of the show. We are going to talk about Tyler Boyd returning to practice and what a difference it makes, why it is foreshadowing ahead of this season, and why it is critically important for Will Levis's success to have this particular player be a part of the offense on a consistent basis this year. We'll also talk about over-under for Tyler Boyd receptions heading into 2024. Do a little rising and falling at the end of the show, as is the custom, and we look forward to your participation the entire time. Before we get started, I need you guys to share this show around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. If you want to, we appreciate your participation. We also appreciate when you share the broadcast around. If you're hanging out on Twitter, please retweet the show. In the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, if you're on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That is in the bottom left. And if you're on YouTube or on Twitch, please subscribe to the channel, throw a like on the video, and tell a friend to do the same. We appreciate always when you guys share the broadcast around. You're always good to do it. And as more of you guys trickle on in here, we'll go ahead and get this thing started. Tell you everything that happened today at Titans training camp practice. The second to last one that we will be out there to do, as a matter of fact. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the wonderful people at TrueMav Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMavFitness.com for your first workout free. As a Middle Tennessee resident, no workout ever recycled or repeated, just the best in the business at TrueMavFitness.com. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, and your Ford Bronco headquarters. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at TwoRiversFord.com. They are there to put you in the driver's seat. The Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Don't sell without the intel that the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators can provide at GaryAshton.com. And, of course, Zen Sports, where betting just got better. Promo code ATOZTN gets you in on all the action, up to $100 on your no-danger first wager at ZenSports.com. Okay, Tyler Boyd back at practice for the first time in in about a week. I would say. He's been dealing with a foot bruise, and they want to kind of slow play it with Tyler Boyd. He's 30 years old, and he is a critically important part of this new Titans offense. I would argue that for it to succeed in year one, right, for it to have the most amount of success possible in year one, that Tyler Boyd is as important and, arguably based on his role, might be more important that he is consistently available versus Calvin Ridley or even DeAndre Hopkins. I think that Tyler Boyd is not going to do it all right, and he's obviously the third of those three wide receivers. But what Tyler Boyd does and the function that it provides to this offense and the relief, the answers to the test that it provides to the quarterback, there is an argument to be made that Tyler Boyd is one of the most important pieces on this Titans offense in 2024. And so you saw the dividends of that when he was reinserted back into the lineup today. You're going to hear from Will Levis and Tyler Boyd. So just to kind of go through what we did at practice, what happened at practice today. There were a variety of different things to note. Caleb Farley was back out there to an extent, though he did not participate with pads on. Tyler Boyd did come back, and he was involved in the practice. You got Josh Wiley, Kieris Jackson, TK McClendon, Cheeto Awuzie, Luke Gifford, L'Jarius Sneed not practicing, though I did see Cheeto and L'Jarius Sneed on the side field, on the third field closest to us, doing a little bit of rehab together. It's the first time I've seen Cheeto out there since training camp started, so that at least is progress. You've got guys like Boyd, Ridley, and Mason Kinsey working on a separate field with wide receiver coach Tyke Tolbert during the special teams period, which is pretty unique, while Jaquan Jackson, Eric Garrer, and Sam Schnee were working as punt returners. You got some nice reps from Dylan Radins today, both against Sebastian Joseph Day and Jeffrey Simmons, who I thought he continues to improve. I'm not going to say that I'm cautiously optimistic about Dylan Radins. Dylan Radins is probably I might argue that Dylan Radins is the player that I feel the least confident in on the Titans offensive line, but he may end up being a better player at the start of the year than, for example, J.C. Latham, just because he's played more football. So worth noting. A lot of good work for Tyler Boyd in particular. He was very much involved throughout the course of the day. Levis hitting him across the middle, just short of the end zone. There was a back shoulder throw then to Treylon Burks. Landed hard, stayed down for a little bit. We're going to talk about Treylon Burks here later on. You've got Tyler Boyd making a couple of plays throughout the course of the practice and really getting involved, keeping the chains moving, helping the offense stay ahead of the sticks at this point, and that's really, really positive. Van Jeffrey says, Buck, where is Jamal Adams? Jamal Adams practiced in 7-on-7 today for the first time in a while, but I did not see him do any team work in particular. So there's a lot of different moving pieces and parts ahead of week one and ahead of this dress rehearsal, because this is going to be a dress rehearsal game. And so as you've got all these moving pieces and parts, what you're most trying to accomplish around the quarterback is just a level of comfort, just a level of stability that will allow him to play more freely within the scope of the offense, will allow him to second guess less than he might be if he's out there with Treylon Burks and, let's say Jaquan Jackson instead of Tyler Boyd or NWI instead of Calvin Ridley. You're trying to get him consistent reps with his top targets. Hopkins obviously has missed this time, but Hopkins is the player that Levis has the best repertoire with. He's improving with Calvin Ridley. And today, when Tyler Boyd got reinserted back in the lineup, it helped the offense continue to be fluid. So we'll start with your Two Rivers Ford take on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch in the comment section, wherever you want to get involved. How important is Tyler Boyd to the new Titans offense? You'll hear from Will Levis here in just a second, right after I remind you that your Two Rivers Ford take is presented by the South's most trusted Ford dealer. That's Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, where they invite you to come check out the Ford Bronco. You've seen Ford Broncos all over the road in the last couple of years, and Two Rivers Ford is your Ford Bronco headquarters. They always go above and beyond to make sure that you get the kind of customer service that Two Rivers Ford has been famous for over the course of the last 40 years, almost 41 years working here in Middle Tennessee. Two Rivers Ford is your Ford Bronco headquarters. They are the South's most trusted Ford dealer, and they do continue to provide award-winning customer service long after you purchase your vehicle, whether it's new or certified pre-owned. So go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more details. Okay, so also worth noting on Mason Kinsey, why he wasn't participating in special teams today, is broken pinky. And he did practice to his credit, but they're trying to make sure that he can get right without, hindering himself in practice, and that would be the case, because Melba asks, how bad is Kinsey's hand? It is a broken pinky, but it is not so bad that he cannot continue to do some of the work on the field. Just a little bit of discomfort at this point. So how important is Tyler Boyd to the Titans' new offense? I would argue he is as important to the success of this offense as DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley this year. And there's one specific reason why. But you're going to hear from Will Levis on Tyler Boyd today, who made his return to practice, and the dividends of that were clear and obvious to everybody who watched.
A little bit more.
Say TB, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I told him that I was happy to have him back, and it was funny. I think the only ball on the ground in RBAs was my first throw to him, and I was like, shoot, I can back up with him. But I felt him, the rest of the day, and he was right where I wanted him to be, and I feel like we got a really good connection, and we just got to keep working. He's a special player. He's been in this league for a long time for a reason. He's got a great understanding of this offense, and what works and what doesn't, and how to get us into the best spots to succeed with whatever he's doing. So he's been a lot of fun to play with, and it's good to have him back.
So that is Will Levis speaking about Tyler Boyd and his level of importance to the offense, TB, and how much easier Tyler Boyd in particular makes life on Will Levis. I'm going to tell you what Brian Callahan told us today that's also a part of this here in just a second. Brian Callahan did speak to the media. He'll hold a more formal press conference tomorrow, but this was John Glennon's been calling it Breakfast with Brian, where we sit down without cameras and without social media, and we do tweet updates, but without video. So it's a more relaxed setting. Brian Callahan can be more relaxed in his conversations with us because he's not on camera the whole time. He's sitting down. It's a more relaxed situation, but we don't have video of it. But I can tell you what he said about Levis, and something that they consistently try and coach with him that Tyler Boyd is a very important part of. Right after I remind you that the Primetime program is presented by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Don't sell without the intel, and get your dream address without the stress. The intel edge you need to succeed can be found at GaryAshton.com, the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators. So Brian Callahan, we met with this morning, and we were talking about the idea of Will Levis and where he improves. And I think the question was more about the Calvin Ridley connection, because that's been where more of the explosive play opportunities have manifested, deep shots down the field to Ridley. And they've been a work in progress with that, right? And so he was asked today, Callahan was some version of, well, are you seeing what you need to see from Levis to make you feel better about that? And he said, well, it's not necessarily about that. It's about the footwork. It's about the mechanics. It's about the decision-making. And, he can throw to any part of the field, right? I'm paraphrasing here. This isn't an exact quote, but he can throw to any part of the field. His ability to get the ball there is not what I'm concerned about. How he progresses with the rest of the stuff, the more tedious stuff, the less sexy stuff than the deep ball to Ridley, that's the more critically important part of the process. And again, how it creates the answers to the offense so he doesn't have to hunt the big play every time. So when I ask you the question, how important is Tyler Boyd to the Titans offense, I'm going to bring back this note from Brian Callahan that he talked to us about this morning about them consistently coaching, hey, you have the ability to check an audible in this offense. Because the thing that we are most trying to avoid here for you in this situation, how can you get us into the best possible play? How can you use the width of the offense, or the scale of the offense, to give you the best possible solution? And how can you identify that before we get into a bad play? They continue to rep that, coach that, study that, and focus on that. And Tyler Boyd is a huge part of creating answers to the test for that quarterback. How he's going to be able to find different ways to manipulate the defense. How he's going to be able to, with this offense and the ability to have a lot of motion in the offense, right? Dictate terms, create advantageous matchups, give you as many answers about the defense as humanly possible before you even take the snap. So I think for me, I love this answer by Chris Short on Facebook Live, because I would agree with this assessment. He says, Boyd is as important as mustard is on a hot dog. Mustard isn't the sexiest condiment, right? It's not relish, or if you're a Chicago person, you get the whole pickle with the hot dog. You're kind of dressing it up. You're making it one of these no free ads, but daddy's dogs, where all the different kinds of toppings and options that you have at your disposal. Nothing sexy, right? And not even like Dijon mustard, not even the mustard with the little peppercorns in it that you put on a cheese board. Just plain, consistent Heinz mustard, let's say, that will get the job done every time and still give you the best possible version of the product. That is such a great comparison. Mustard on a hot dog. And if you're one of these ketchup on a hot dog people, then I can't help you, because ketchup is the wrong condiment to be putting on hot dogs, and you should do better, use mustard. But what I'm saying is that is the way that you would assign the level of value to it. Is it absolutely essential that he be out there on every snap? No. But is the product substantially worse without him, Tyler Boyd? Yes, that is the best possible way to look at this player and how he impacts everything involved with this Titans team. So you're going to hear from Tyler Boyd himself here in just a second, and kind of going back to some of the different things that we've talked about here, because we are going to touch on Treylon Burks. He did leave practice with the training staff today. I would not jump to any conclusions on it yet. That was at the end of practice, so it would be jumping to conclusions to say that it's going to be anything long-term just because he didn't finish practice today, but something to keep an eye on. Next, though, let's talk about over-unders for Tyler Boyd in this Titans offense from a reception standpoint. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. William Jones says he eats hot dogs plain. That's disgusting. It's damn near un-American, to be honest with you. Like a plain hot dog. I can't think of anything less appetizing than a plain hot dog. Like, William, don't you like sauces or condiments or seasoning or anything on your hot dog? Like just a plain hot dog? Hot dog and a bun that may or may not be, decent quality. That sounds disgusting to me. Truly. I don't think, not just the aesthetics of a hot dog, because a hot dog itself does not look terribly appetizing. But like, there's so many different ways to make a hot dog taste better that you should be doing, because a hot dog is one of the most basic, not one of the most basics. It's one of the most processed foods that you could possibly eat, but it is one of the most basic processed foods. It's just like eating a plain hamburger without cheese. I don't know how you eat a plain hot dog. That's crazy for me. Crazy to me. Barbecue sauce on the hot dog. I'll just something, right? Don't eat the plain hot dog. If you're eating a plain hot dog, you're a bit of a serial killer. Well, like Caleb Gray, who says, as most serial killers would, plain hot dogs are better than with ketchup or mustard. Yeah, I cannot abide by that. I cannot support that position. In fact, I would report you to the proper authorities for a potential serial killer behavior. Anyway, so over/under on Tyler Boyd's receptions in the Titans offense this year. Let's talk about it together in the comment section. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch is how you get involved. Over/under 45 receptions is where we are going to put the number. Are you going over for Tyler Boyd, or are you going under for Tyler Boyd in 2024 in this offense? Over or under 45 catches, given that Calvin Ridley exists, two running backs who are going to catch passes, Chig and Wiley in some form or fashion. DeAndre Hopkins, we'll see what happens to him. A lot of you guys are going over like it's a layup, and I don't think that is exact. I don't think it's as big a layup as you might be giving it, because there are a lot of mouths to feed in this offense. And William Jones as adding, see, Buck, people are agreeing with me. No, one person, Caleb Gray, is not people. All right, William, don't get crazy with it. That's one person who has come to your aid, and that one person had a crazier take than you did. So let's not get ahead of our skis here. What's Coach Mack say? Keep your powder dry. All right, so over or under 45 receptions for Tyler Boyd in this year's offense. We're going to talk about it together right after I remind you, and you'll also hear from Tyler Boyd, that the Primetime program is presented by TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMathFitness.com. Your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated. Only the best at TrueMathFitness.com. They go above and beyond to make sure that you can achieve your fitness goals, and to do it in a safe, healthy, and productive manner with one of the most supporting coaching staffs out there. And by the way, you can vote in the Nashville scene best of, because that started. You can vote for Worth Campbell as the best personal trainer in the Nashville scene, and TrueMath Fitness as the best workout facility in the Nashville scene. You can also vote for the Primetime show, the radio show, the 615 sessions, or the install, because there are categories for best podcast, best YouTube channel, best radio show, all those different kind of things. So, if you're voting for TrueMath, maybe you drop us a vote too. But either way, TrueMath Fitness is the best place for you to work out. Go to TrueMathFitness.com for that first workout free. Okay, over or under 45 receptions for Tyler Boyd. Now, this to me, I'll be honest, sounded low, because the last time that he had, let's see, I'm looking at his Pro Football Reference. The last time that he had under 45 receptions, it's only happened once, and it was a year that he missed 6 games. So I would say that for most of you, it's probably going to feel like a pretty easy layup to go over 45. The last 3 years of Tyler Boyd in the Cincinnati offense, and he played there for what has he got? 8 seasons he was in Cincinnati. Let's take the last half of his Cincinnati career. So from 2020 to 2023, he finished with 79 receptions, 67 receptions, 58, and 67. Now the yardage totals got less every year. So despite him continuing to get catches, he had 841, 828, 762, and 667. So every year the receiving totals got less, even though the receptions stayed pretty consistent. As far as touchdown production goes, it was 4, 5, 5, and 2 last year for the Bengals offense. And he caught 28 receptions that went for a first down and had it's his second lowest career receiving success rate of 46.9%. His career lowest was in 2019, 46.6. His career high was in 2018, where he caught 63% of the passes that were thrown in his direction. So there is a lot of reason. There is a lot of reason to go over here, right? And I think that might be an easy position to take. But I just don't think that there are that many opportunities to get just Tyler Boyd the ball, right? Again, the receiving options in this Titans offense, and this is a brave new world, right? You are talking about a collection of skill position players that is as talented on the whole as any that you've ever played with. So Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd. Let's just take your 3 starting wide receivers, right? And even if you assume that all of these guys stay healthy for the year. So those are your 3 wide receivers. You've got 2 tight ends who are going to see a fair amount of work in this offense because they don't play the same position. You've got Josh Wiley and you've got Chigakonkwo. Then you talk about running backs who, yes, are going to run the football, but also are going to be split out wide, also going to catch passes, also going to catch screens, right? So Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears in all of this. You're talking about 7 legitimate receiving options in your starting lineup before you even get to depth guys based on, say DeAndre Hopkins doesn't make it to week 1 and Treylon Burks starts, right? Well, how much is Treylon Burks going to take away from Tyler Boyd? Probably not much because Tyler Boyd's the more reliable option. I think that there is a lot of different things that are going to be available to the quarterback in this offense. Now, the safest option may be Tyler Boyd, and he may be the beneficiary of this. It's not unthinkable to me, and I don't know that Tyler Boyd ever led the Bengals in receptions, obviously, since Jamar Chase and T. Higgins have been there. I would have to go back and look at their year-over-year production. But it's not unthinkable to me that a slot receiver in an offense like this that's going to focus more on efficiency than shot plays and winning one-on-one, though there will be both of those things. I think that in particular, Tyler Boyd makes a lot of sense. If you were like ranking guys who you think are going to finish, first, second, and third in receptions this year, I wouldn't put Tyler Boyd any lower than 3 in terms of receptions on the team. I think that he is going to be the beneficiary of a lot of these passes over the middle, a lot of these slant patterns, a lot of these, safety valve type of plays that are going to be available to the quarterback in the offense that may not come with a lot of yardage, but will still be productive receptions, will still be converted for first downs, and will still keep the offense ahead of the sticks. I think there's a lot to like about this at this point. Ricky W. says that was funny watching Buck count the good wide receivers. Yes, this is a different world for all of us, right? It is the best wide receiver room. Is it the best wide receiver room in 26 years, heading into 26 years of Titans football? I might argue Drew Bennett and Derek Mason are obviously the 2 best wide receivers that have played for this franchise, and Nate Washington is probably third. Well, A.J. Brown also. A.J. Brown was the second. A.J. Brown was the most talented player this franchise has ever had at that position. Derek Mason is still the best wide receiver that's ever played for this team. And I probably wouldn't put Nate Washington any lower than 3rd, so that would probably put Drew Bennett like 4th or 5th. I would say on the whole, well-rounded. It is probably the most talented 1 through 3 wide receiver room that you have. Chosen said, did you get on Buck for fooling us last night with the pre-recorded show? No, I haven't seen anybody get on me just yet for needing to record prime time last night. And I'll be honest with you, because maybe you didn't notice, but we also had to record Monday night because I had a couple of events that I had to participate in. So I appreciate your patience that way. But tonight is live. And I like that you can't tell when it's live or recorded. Sometimes you might be able to tell, but more often than not, I feel like I might get one over you. But still, we do the show live far more often than we don't. And, I do appreciate you guys bearing with me when I do have to record, because there are a lot of things that are bleeding into my social calendar in the evening that we have to make necessary adjustments for. Major Key says the Eric Decker wide receiver room. Ooh, I don't know about that. So Eric Decker was with whom that year that he was on this team? Was Rashad Matthews still a Titans wide receiver, and Corey Davis? I don't think. I can't possibly imagine a situation where that was a more talented wide receiver room. Rashad Matthews with his surfboard celebration, right, with Mariota. Yeah, I don't think that was a more talented wide receiver room than DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, and Tyler Boyd. Eric Decker was at the end of his career here. In fact, did Eric Decker play for another team after the Titans? I don't think so, but I don't remember. Maybe he went to camp with another team, but I want to say that was just about the end of the Eric Decker NFL career. But perhaps Bert will be able to provide me some context on that here in just a second. Andrew Brown says, what are my thoughts on the Michael Brown pickup? Just another camp body or somebody who will contribute? I mean, they're running out of linebackers, right? I don't know that he won't make the roster because Otis Reese is in the concussion protocol. You've got Cedric Gray still dealing with an injury. He didn't practice today. Excuse me, I got a cough. And so Otis Reese, Luke Gifford in the concussion protocol, and Cedric Gray not practicing with a shoulder injury. Yeah, they just need a linebacker. Now, I mean, could he do something? Sure. But honestly, Chance Campbell is as good a player to push the 2-star, or push Gibbons anyway. I don't think he's going to push Murray. They don't play the same position. But I think Chance Campbell could legitimately push Jack Gibbons. I think the coaching staff's preference is still Gibbons, but Campbell is doing everything humanly possible that he can to try and make this. So I'm going to go over slightly on Tyler Boyd receptions for what it's worth, by the way. Because I do think that Tyler Boyd is going to be the beneficiary of a lot of these safety valve type plays, and that there are going to be receptions, if not yardage, there. Now, Tyler Boyd was asked about being successful in returning to practice and helping the offense move the ball today after their work concluded. This was Tyler Boyd earlier this afternoon.
Just working his progression, just working the timing of the routes. I think he's got a great understanding of what coach is calling up and how he's supposed to execute it. But the day-to-day is going to make him better. The consistency and the repetition. To keep running plays over and over again against different coverages, and he'll know when he reads things that he have a better and more clarity of where he should go with the football.
Your timing with him and stuff obviously didn't suffer from you being out for a little while. You find that encouraging that you step in and things pick up right where they left off?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know the offense very well. And I know missing last week, I know coming into this week, it's the same thing. I know where I need to be. I know where he expects me to be when I need to be there. So it's like kind of an advantage for him to have a guy like me still knowing exactly where I need to be, depending, like I said, on the coverages and different things that they're throwing at us. I kind of got a great understanding of every defense and how they want to play it, because it's you kind of play it out the slot. I can kind of create ways to get guys open and figure out different windows to get myself open. So as long as I know what I'm doing, I think it just gives it's an easier read.
How important is this week for just the offense? Coach said the starters are going to get 2, possibly 3 series. How important is that?
It's huge, especially if Will go, and then he is going, so I think it's just, like I said, man, before, just building that camaraderie, building that confidence in one another, just building that relationship, knowing how guys are going to run certain routes, knowing what routes guys can win on every time, and just repetition, man, just going out there feeling like one unit, the starting unit, the team that's going to go out there each and every week with you.
So that is Tyler Boyd speaking after practice today. I'm going to go over slightly. I bet he has about 50 receptions on the year, which, again, was good for third best on your team last year. So that is not inconsequential. We're going to talk about the Treylon Burks thing here in just a second because I know a lot of you guys have questions. I do want to answer William Jones's question here quickly. He says, I'm about to start the Steve McNair doc. Have you seen it yet, Buck? So last night I had an event. And we got home from the event about 9:45, and I put on the McNair documentary before I went to bed because it did debut last night on Netflix, The Murder of Aaron McNair. And Jeff Fisher is heavily featured to talk to Fish. What was that? Last Thursday at practice, he was out there taking in the sights and sounds. And Brad Hopkins, who of course is a Titans and Oilers legend, the former left tackle, and who works with me now at 104.5 The Zone. And Brad was heavily featured in that documentary. I haven't made it all the way through it because I will say that around 10:30 I started to fall asleep, and I did miss the ending of it. But I will tell you guys, and we're going to talk more about this on the radio show on Friday when we're back in studio, because tomorrow we're back out of practice. By the way, Tyler Boyd's on the radio show tomorrow, so we'll if you have any questions for Tyler Boyd, please send them to me on Instagram at Buck Rising, and we'll get the best one answered for you on the air. And that's our last training camp broadcast, by the way, because camp will be over after that. And then we'll fly down to New Orleans, and then regular season prep officially begins, which will be sweet. So McNair doc. Yes, I saw it, and I was in awe of it. Let me say that quickly. I was in absolute awe of it because you guys, I know many of you have been lifelong Titans fans, and McNair is not that long ago. I mean, for most of us in our lifetimes, right? But for me, McNair was a while ago, right? 1999, I was 6. So the Titans phenomenon, like when it was a phenomenon, was such a foreign concept to me. I had no idea there was that kind of mania around this football team when they first arrived here and put together the home winning streak that they did at Adelphia Coliseum when it was initially built under Jeff Fisher and with McNair and Eddie George and Blaine Bishop and Brad Hopkins, a couple of guys that I get to work with on a daily basis. Lorenzo Neal, who was on the pregame show with us before the Titans played the 49ers a couple of weeks ago. Just when they showed the crowd shots of what, now it's Nissan Stadium, then Adelphia Coliseum, and the stands and the interviews with people who were getting to know the Titans, like at the time when they had just moved from Houston and gone through the Liberty Bowl year and playing at Vanderbilt, and then finally they opened Adelphia Coliseum, and just to see the craze around the Titans, that is such a foreign concept to me because I've never associated the Tennessee Titans with that level of just interest in my life. That's not in my lifetime. Well, I'm not going to say in my lifetime because obviously I was alive then, but I was, barely cognizant. There is something to that I've never seen that. I've covered this team now. This will be my 8th NFL season. So that's not a short period of time. And there have been moments, right? You guys were out of your minds before the Bengals-Titans playoff game as the number 1 overall seed. Before that kickoff, before that all went to hell in one of the most catastrophic losses in franchise history, the atmosphere was great. The atmosphere was crazy. Monday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills, where it's Josh Allen and Derrick Henry going back and forth, and Jeff Simmons has the goal line stop on Josh Allen for the win, and all these different things. Those are really the only 2 moments where Nissan Stadium, in my experience covering your team, has ever looked anything like what I saw on that documentary last night. Andrew Brown says Buck is starting to understand why the Titans have fans. Truly, like it's because to be completely honest, and this may be a whole nother show for a slow day. Maybe we should do this on another day because I could do 35 minutes on this alone. My first year was Marcus Mariota's rookie year. So the franchise was in the toilet when I got here, right? That was in the aftermath of Locker. Mariota drafted. Then they get off to the good start in Tampa Bay against Jameis Winston, and it doesn't take very long for Ken Wisenhunt to get fired. They go 3-13 that year, and they have the number 1 overall pick. John Robinson gets the job, and and Mike Mularkey gets hired, and they trade the number 1 overall pick. They get Jack Conklin. Like that. That's when I got here. Now, when I got here, I was watching Titans, Oilers games, looking up YouTube history and all that kind of stuff, but I had no kind of like real life association with the Tennessee Titans. I mean, I never paid attention to them, truly, beyond and you guys know this, like I didn't really start paying attention to NFL football until, I don't know, I'd say probably college. So it's not like they were ever really on my radar anyway. I've always been a basketball person, and I just happened to get a job covering an NFL football team. And here 8 years later, ironically enough, I'm covering an NFL football team that I never thought twice about at any other point in my life, other than one of my buddies in high school was a Titans fan. And I couldn't understand why, because I was like, who are the Titans? I'd never thought about them before. Wow. I have such a newfound appreciation for the roots of this thing, because there's only so many ways to relive that stuff if you didn't get a chance to live through that stuff. And I know all the stories, right? I used to work with Floyd Reese prior to his passing away. God bless him. I miss Floyd every day. He's an incredible human being. I've gotten to know Jeff Fisher over the course of the last 8 years. Derek Mason is somebody who I consider one of my best friends, even though he's a bald old man who I like to make fun of. B-Hop is somebody who I work with on a daily basis. Blaine Bishop is one of my favorite human beings of all time. I know all these people. I know everybody who's involved. I get to talk with them and work with them on a daily basis. And until last night, because I've seen McNair stuff before, right? This is not a new story, but Netflix just does such a good job of pulling the old TV footage and finding the reporters for WKRN News 2 at the time, and all these different shots and moments in time, and the way that they told the timeline of the story. I want to say that I am incredibly impressed with it, and that I have probably done a disservice to you guys as an audience for not being more familiar with that time period beyond, the 1,000-foot view stuff that everybody knows, right? That McNair was a co-MVP, that he was Air McNair, that he was excellent, that he was tough. The game against the Giants with the fractured sternum and all these different moments in time, like that I know about, that I've heard about, that I've watched, but don't have an appreciation for everything that was going on in the world around them at the time. So truly, I feel like I owe you guys an apology, because it was so real at that time, and I myself have never felt it. I've never felt it anything like that. And that's not a shot at you guys. Like, obviously, the fall off from the franchise, like there's a reason why things look the way that they do right now, and where they're trying to get back to. But it's a long time ago. It's a long time ago. I'm 31 now, right? Even McNair even the McNair murder suicide is a long time ago, in 2009. It's a considerable period of time. This was just the 15th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken, if my math is mathing correctly. Ranahan, Titans fan, says, is Buck tearing up? No, I'm not, but it did make me sad. It did make me sad that I never got to see you guys experience that, because what a cool time that must have been. The most athletic success that has happened since I've been here in Tennessee is the Preds going to the Stanley Cup and losing, right? So that's the closest comparison I have to what it was that the Titans did, and the love for the city. But even then, it's not even remotely close for the time period that it happened in. Just a really cool. I mean, obviously, the McNair murder suicide is not a cool thing to relive. That is a tragedy in and of itself, and it'll be something that haunts you guys for the rest of your natural born lives. For those of you who got to see McNair, who really resonated with McNair. I'm doing a whole show that I don't need to do right now. Rising and falling. Who stock rose? Who stock fell? We'll talk about this. Let's talk about this. Maybe we're not going to have an opportunity to talk about this. Maybe sometime next week we can dive in when more of you guys have had the opportunity to watch it. So I just wanted to make sure that I got that out there. Like Andrew says, it's hard to appreciate what you don't understand, but apology accepted. You can be our honorable fan. No. You don't get to have me as a part of the fan base. That's not how this works. But I will say that I have a newfound respect and appreciation for you guys, for your franchise, and for the things that led us to the point that we are at now. I think too often a lot of people are quick to gloss over history, and I'm sad that I was one of those people that just kind of said, yeah, I know about all that stuff, but let me cover Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill and all that, and how much does history really matter? Shrug shoulders and then realizes, oh my God, this is a totally different experience than what I have lived in 8 years covering this team. Anyway, so we'll do something specific with the McNair documentary later on next week because we'll have some downtime in the absence of preseason games and training camp. Okay, rising and falling. Whose stock rose? Whose stock fell this week in sports? On Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch in the comment section. We would like you to get involved. Bert says I can do that on Monday instead of in case you missed it. Nice try. Way to try and get out of your segment. But what we are going to do right now is decide whose stock rose, whose stock fell this week in sports. You can tell me in the comment section while I tell you that the primetime program is presented by Zen Sports, where the stock is always rising and where betting just got better at zensports.com. Promo code ATOZTN gets you in on all the action. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet at Zen Sports. Okay, so whose stock rose, whose stock fell this week in sports? Stock down, unfortunately, again, Treylon Burks.
Positions. Is that just Treylon's primarily going to be the X and NWI mostly at Z?
Primarily, yeah. I think NWI's got a lot of flex. He really can play all spots. But with D-Hop hurt and the timeline with him pushing up to the first game and Treylon playing in D-Hop spot at the X, that was really the biggest consensus for him to not play in that game, is that we're already down one at that spot. And Nick's just so versatile. He does a little bit of everything pretty dang well. And so, just by nature of it, we just need had to have enough bodies to play. And so that was part of it. But yeah, Nick is primarily a Z, but he can play inside and he can play X, and Trey's is focused most of his efforts on playing X.
So that's Brian Callahan on Sunday talking about why Treylon Burks didn't play in the preseason game. And today, Treylon Burks, red zone play, going up against Trey Avery. He goes up for a ball. He comes down crashing because, guys, I'm telling you, I don't know if there's a wide receiver who, when he tries to catch the ball, comes down with more force, right? Lands with more force than Treylon Burks. I've seen him do it so many times, and every time I feel like he gets up, with a nick or a bruise or a cramp or something, right? And it's too early. I don't know what specifically happened to Treylon Burks today, other than he went down. He looked like he was like grabbing his hip/back area, but I don't know specifics, so I don't want to speculate. But he left with the trainer. It was at the end of practice, so his day would have been done anyway. So, it doesn't look like it was anything of huge consequence. We'll see if he's out there tomorrow, because, of course, if he's not, that will be a different story. And if he is, then no harm, no foul. But the constant monitoring of, is Treylon Burks okay? Is he healthy? Is he leaving with the training staff? What does it mean? Is it long-term? Is it short-term? Is it asthma? I'll tell you what it is. It's exhausting. The Treylon Burks thing is exhausting. And it has to be exhausting for him too. I don't want to act like it's his fault that he gets hurt this way. But it seems at least once a week we're having one of these moments where like, gosh, is Traylon okay? Is Traylon okay? Oh, there he goes with the training staff. Oh, okay, it's just cramps, not the end of the world. Oh, today, what is it? Is it a hip? Is it a back? What have you? I just don't see Traylon Burks becoming the kind of consistent player that he needs to be, because the thing that happens to him most consistently is situations like these. So should you be worried about him? Yeah, you should be worried about him, because I personally don't think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be ready for week 1. We'll see. I don't know what his process has been. I know he's just returned recently from Los Angeles to continue to get his knee strain worked on. And I know he's working with specialists, and he's taking excellent care of his body. And the Titans have given him that time away to go make sure that he gets the appropriate treatment. So they are targeting week 1 for DeAndre Hopkins. But, right now, I think it's less likely that DeAndre Hopkins is available for week 1, which, of course, makes Traylon Burks infinitely more important. And if Traylon Burks cannot get through a game when you need him to get through a game, then it's going to drive you crazy, just like the entire Traylon Burks situation has. So we'll see. Hopefully Traylon Burks is okay for his sake. I hate that. I genuinely hate that this keeps happening. I genuinely hate that we have to keep talking about Traylon Burks in these moments like this, because it may not be anything at all. And he may just have come down hard. And sometimes that's unpleasant, and you got to get up and walk it off. And that's the end of the day. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But man, every time something happens with Traylon Burks and he has to leave with the training staff, which is at least, it feels, I don't know if it has been at least once a week, but it feels like it's been once a week here. Because I thought he had a nice second day against the Seahawks last week, and then he didn't play in the preseason game and what have you. It's just exhausting. It's all exhausting for him, for you, for his coaching staff, for me, all these things. So that's what it is. Stephen King says, Buck, just keep going for another hour. Give the people what they want. Well, you know what? I can do that. I can do that for 3 hours tomorrow on 104.5 The Zone, because I have a 3-hour radio show that if you didn't get enough here, we'll be live at training camp tomorrow. We'll have Tyler Boyd on the radio show. Ryan Stonehouse today was kick-ass. If you guys, I mentioned this on the radio show. I don't know how many of you guys caught that interview, but Stonehouse came up to me at some point in the last couple of weeks and said, hey, at some point I'd like to come on the radio show and talk about my injury, because there was some misinformation in the reporting around my injury. There was a couple of reports that had conflicting issues, and he wanted to set the record straight. So we did that today on the radio show. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. I know people don't. I mean, I know Titans fans place plenty of importance on the punter. I don't know, most people think about, what are you interviewing the punter for? You just had Will Levis on Thursday. Yeah, but Stonehouse is really, really interesting, and also a very important part of your football team. And if he is right and he's ramping up to play in the game on Sunday in New Orleans, which would be a huge step for him, I think it is another weapon that you will have at your disposal. And again, the interview is something that I think you'll really, really enjoy. So go check that out on 104.5 The Zone on YouTube. While you're there, subscribe to The Zone's YouTube channel, and you can watch our radio show for 3 hours tomorrow from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone, featuring Tyler Boyd. Also today, Charles Davis of the NFL on CBS and the Titans preseason broadcast. Charles, great as always. So we did a fun show today. We'll do a fun show tomorrow. If you didn't get enough here, lucky for you, 3 hours of radio and a 615 Sessions podcast tomorrow after practice concludes. Have a great rest of your evening, and we will see you then at 10 a.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
Go home! Go home! Go home! You're embarrassing Nashville! Go home!